What up, everybody? It's your boy Kentario, and I'm back again for another episode of Christ in Comics, and today we're going to be talking about James Gunn's Superman. Now, in us talking about this, let me make it clear, I used to not be a Superman fan.
I start slow. That's okay.
Because I was overwhelmed and overshadowed by the perspective of how much power Superman has. Even after retconning him, they still bring him back up to this level of divine power that's... You can't argue against how strong Superman is. Like, Superman is way too powerful. Look, you can see, I'm wearing my Dragon Ball Z shirt. I'm Team Goku all day. Even if you can make good points that say that Goku would lose, I'm a root for the underdog. Goku would win. But what I began to pay more attention to, and it's because my daughter loves Superman, and when I say she loves Superman, she started binging like old movies, TV shows, all of it up to this point. She cried watching the Superman movie. And so, like, she's in it. She's in with Superman. But then I started to pay more attention to his character, and that softened my heart on Superman. And that's one of the masterful things that James Gunn did, was magnify the character of Superman over his power. His power is present in the movie, but he did a great job of pointing out the nature of him as a person, which I found to be absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, baby!
Let's talk about what this movie is actually about. This seems as though this is taking place during the early years of Superman, where he's in Metropolis, and of course he's fighting against what's believed to be an entirely different enemy from another nation that's looking to come against, I guess you could say, America or Metropolis in this instance, and they're fighting. Superman gets badly injured, and even though he's badly injured, he still comes back to the fight because, you know, he needs to bring this person down. Only for us to learn that all of this is a part of the plot of Lex Luthor to destroy Superman. And I don't mean just destroy his body. I mean destroy the body, destroy the mind, destroy the image, everything about him to bring him down. He even has a secret space in another realm, another dimension, where a bunch of monkeys are writing up in chat rooms bashing Superman's character. And everything that's happening in the movie is to bring down Superman, even partnering with other nations to bring down Superman. Even in the end, when they're like questioning, well, why are you buying a nation? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? He's like, yeah, it's all of this is really just to get you. I don't even care about owning this. Like, I don't care what I do. It's getting you. And even to the point of almost destroying the planet to get to Superman. That's the only focus. That's all Lex Luthor is focused on. And we're going on this journey of Superman yet still maintaining his character throughout that entire struggle. Why that's significant is because there has been a comic book shift in one sense, and even in media with Superman, to portray a darker side to Superman, where he could take things over, where losing his family would turn him, all of these things. There's been a lot of promotion to that, and with James Gunn's Superman is getting back to the status quo of the hope that Superman maintains for being able to save people, for people being able to change, and for people to be able to believe in him, to genuinely be here for humanity. Now, there's two main points that I want to talk about, because I see a lot of people really wanting to emphasize, one, how it changes the view of what it means to, I guess you could say, to be a man and to be a hero or to be kind. Because, you know, kind is punk rock.
Yup!
Like, that's the quote. Like, I love it. And people want to focus on the political stuff. I'm not coming for the political stuff. Although the political stuff is aligned in there in a very evident way, I want to come at this from a religious standpoint. Because if y'all can sit here and point out the political stuff in media, then we definitely can point out the religious.
Here I come.
Because I promise you, no good media, no good movies, no good comic books, no good manga, no good anime, nothing like that can be made without there being some religious undertone. No matter the religion. There's got to be a religious undertone. It's got to be there. Now, okay. So, point number one, from a Christian perspective on this movie, is going to be Superman's mentality of one, hope, and two, saving life. And in spite of everything that he was faced with in this movie, the enemy that he has, Lex Luthor hating him, humanity starting to question him, finding out stuff about his parents that he was not aware of. He was initially motivated by what he thought he knew of what his parents wanted him to do, only for him to discover something else. He still maintained hope. Someone lost their life in his presence, he still maintained hope. Superman was beating to a near pulp to where he had to be bedridden for a little bit. He still maintained hope, and he showed up. He fought against his enemies. He still fought to save life over and over and over again. He maintained that hope. The other aspect to that too is going to be the fact that he was saving lives. I mean, literally. Now, let me clarify something. So, because I don't think anyone talked about this. It focuses on saving life, but it's an aspect, I guess you could say, in the way that the movie was illustrated, scripted to play out. Because you see Superman fight this big monster in one scene, but you see the monster like breathe fire and blow up a building, and you don't see Superman rushing in to grab bodies. You just see him show up and make sure everything's okay, and he goes back to fighting the thing. I'm like, well, why did Superman just go and save the people? What I realized is because Superman knew how much control he had over the entire situation, that he did not have to overreact to make sure everything was okay. You learn this when the Justice League, the Justice Friends, whatever, Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl show up, where they're doing things to overly correct, and they're causing a bit of destruction, and they're not doing a great job of protecting the people. Superman is, because Superman's having to pick up the slack of the actions that the other heroes are taking by grabbing people and even saving a squirrel. Like, he goes to those extra extents to do that. So we see Superman in control of the situation where the other heroes were not so much in control. And that, again, speaks to the nature of Superman, bro. Like, it was so well illustrated. But he fought and saved life. He saved a squirrel.
Do you realize what this means?
I have a point with that. Because I believe that Superman would be pro-life. I'm just going to state my stance. Superman would be pro-life. I do not mean that Superman would go and destroy all the Planned Parenthood buildings, which is a lot of what the right-wing conservatives may say. That's what Superman would do. No, I'm not making that point. I'm making the point where it's been seen in several comics where, although he cares and concerns for human life and doesn't want people to lose their life, he'll show up to be a support. He'll show up to speak to the people, to understand them, to encourage them, to console them. Superman shows up in that way, and I think he would do the same thing for people who are in that situation where, I can't take care of this child. This is the only option that I have. I think he would show up and still have that conversation, but not put his hands on them or the organization to contend against it. I mean, he's a journalist, for crying out loud. He could just write a paper about it, right? I think he would go that route, if anything. But I believe Superman's pro-life. Another thing that leans to Superman being pro-life that was done in this movie was, even though he was in a realm where there was no sun, where I think it was Metamorph, I think that's what his name is, Metamorph, initially was coming against him under the orders of Lex Luthor. Superman gets him to trust him and says, I'll save your son if you will just, help me in this moment. Like, let me help you. Let me help you. That's Superman's mentality. It wasn't like, I got to get out of this. This sucks. It was, let me help that child. Let me help these people in here. Like, that's Superman. That's Superman's focus. That's it. That's his focus. And he gets to help the child with minimal access to the sun, minimal access to solar energy to boost him back up. But while he is saving the child, he's getting attacked by all these enemies of Lex Luthor. How are you going to say you're going to be pro-human, but then continue to come against even a child? Like, that's the thing that's, like, so baffling about this. They're beating up on Superman while he's holding a baby with no care for the baby. But as much as they're attacking him, Superman is moving so elegantly, baby's protected the whole time. They're like, he's like kicking baby, safe. They go into this river that is like a multi-dimensional river of and it's dangerous. I'm gonna put it like that. No human would survive being in it. No, that's just it. Because Mr. Terrific explains it. I don't remember what his explanation was.
Whoa, an anti-proton river.
It's dangerous to be in this river, point blank period. But Superman was in the river, but even though he was in the river, he kept the baby out the river the whole time. He got boom, bang, boom, boom, shooting at him, lasers, baby out the river, whole time. Gets him out of the boat. They're about to get sucked into what's like a black hole. He used his breath to get out of the black hole. Bruh, I'm telling you, Superman fights for the life. My man is pro-life. I stand on that 100%. The movie gives you reason to believe that 100%. The other thing, too, that's amazing about this movie is that Superman, the relationship between Superman and Lex Luthor, if you've watched the movie, if you're gonna watch the movie, Superman's relationship to Lex Luthor is like the relationship to non-believers when it comes to Jesus. The way that people hate, the way that people don't like religion, the way that people make their reasons for hating Jesus, the the way that people have their reasons for hating Christians. They want to end religion. They want to end God. We don't want nothing to do with God. I think it was Friedrich Nietzsche who wrote the book that God is dead and you killed him. Like that is, I want to read this book.
Whoa.
Because Jordan Peterson says there's more to the book than that initial interpretation of just that we should just bring down religion. Jordan Peterson points out that there's an aftermath and a danger to doing that is not good for us as humanity. And that's why I want to read that book. But nonetheless, what I'm getting at is Lex Luthor represents atheism. He represents no faith in God. He represents no faith in any God. That's what he represents.
He's out of line, but he's right.
And people now today, although there's a lot of people in so many different groups that love Superman, they're at the same time ones that hate Jesus. There are groups that love Superman, but they hate Jesus, and that is such a big oxymoronic situation for people to be in. How could you love someone with all this power who just wants to save life when there's literally a being who lived, who did that same thing, and even taught lessons and values, which is evident if you would just read the book, to point to these exact same qualities and nature of being, which contributes to his inspiration for even being a character to begin with, is the gospel. You can say Torah if you want to, that's fair, but another aspect of the Bible is the Torah. Okay, let's be real. He's motivated by that. Superman represents Christ. Superman represents Christ. In his fight with Lex Luthor, in his interview with Lois Lane, he represents Jesus Christ in these instances. Superman's hate, Lex Luthor's motivation for everything that he does, although he leads with, well, I want to boost humanity and make humanity look better. The reality is I just hate you. That's the reality. The Bible talks about that people will say things like, well, we're doing this for the betterment of humanity. I'm doing this because I love my family. We're doing this because people are suffering. We're doing this for this reason, this reason, this reason. At the core of it, at the soul of it, the truth is you just hate Jesus. Like, if you were to really search your soul, you'll identify that you don't align with Jesus. And if anything, I hope and pray that would convict you to where you want to align with Jesus. But that's the reality of Lex Luthor and Superman. That's the reality of why I would say that a Christian should go watch this movie, because that is an aspect of the gospel of Jesus Christ that we believe in, that we are being taught, that we are being spoken to. And if anything, watching Superman do what he does will just magnify how even greater Jesus Christ truly is. I want to point these last two things out, and that's being even the conversation between Lois Lane and Superman when they did the mock interview, right? Although Lois is on his side, she's asking the hard questions to otherwise challenge him on his perspective. And she's asking about, like, why did you go into this country, even though you know the law forbids it? Why would you betray the law? Like, what are your intentions for actually being here? All of this challenging him in his intention and his motive. And he's trying to keep his composure, but he's like, why are you guys, like, mad at me?
People were going to die
For doing what I can that no one else can do, and I'm doing this for your sake. Like, why are you mad at me for that? Although I think Jesus would be way more composed, it doesn't mean that Jesus wouldn't get emotional in that situation. But that's the type of sit down that a lot of people wish they could have with Jesus, because they don't understand why a God. If he's God, why would he do this? If he's God, why would he allow this? If he's God, why does he move like this? Why does he move like that? Why do your people do this? Why do your people do that? And they have all these questions and challenges to God. And even if they could ask those questions, even if they could get those answers, they yet still would not believe. Jesus makes it even evident in both Old and New Testament, where even if I show you who I am, even if I show you my power, you still wouldn't believe. If I were to truly reveal myself to you in the way that you're asking, you wouldn't believe. You still would not. No miracle would make you believe. He could cure all sicknesses and illnesses. People would not believe. He could make sure every human being could eat, but they still would not believe. That is, again, getting back to it, that's the power of what you're getting out of this Superman movie, is it reveals the nature and wickedness of man, even though man is really only focused on Superman. They're like, yeah, we're just like Superman. No, you're just like Lex Luthor. I'm sorry to say that. Like, I'm motivated to be kind because kindness is punk rock. No, you're motivated to be hateful because that's the core of your heart. You're just in denial about it. Like, I don't mean to be that guy, but I'm just being honest with you about where you're not being honest with yourself. So I encourage you guys to kind of reevaluate where you really stand when it comes to Superman, when it comes to Christ, because it makes no sense that you would advocate for Superman but hate Jesus. That's all that I have for you guys in regards to this in regards to the James Gunn Superman movie. I hope that you all loved this video. If you did, please make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure that this video is boosted within the YouTube algorithm. That way I can do more videos like this and do it full time. The goal is to do this full time, everybody. That's the goal. By the way, I meant to say this. I think James Gunn is intentionally referencing Christ in his movies. I don't know where he stands religiously. I really don't. I'd love to sit down with him and ask him. But I've seen this in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He's used Chris Pratt's character. He's used Star-Lord as a Christ figure in his stories. Like, I've seen that time and time again. He's doing this now with Superman, and I'm gonna go look at some other of James Gunn's work to point this out. But I promise you, I think there's an intent. You can't tell me watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3 that the whole situation with the ship crashing and them trying to save all the animals, that wasn't Noah's Ark. I'm not reaching. Like, you know that's Noah's Ark. Come on, be for real. And then we got Superman being a Christ-like figure. Come on, people. Like, be honest. James Gunn loves pointing people to Jesus, even though he may not admit it. I'm just saying the truth for what it is. That's all I'm saying. But that's the video, guys. I hope that y'all enjoy, and y'all have a blessed day. Peace.